Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Pace, and welcome back to everyone who is already a subscriber to the channel. If you're not already a subscriber to the YouTube channel, please subscribe so you can see more great interviews, including the one coming at you right now. It's always exciting to have a returning guest on the show, and not only is he a returning guest on the show, he's exactly a week away, I guess a little under a week away now, for making his professional fighting debut at 247 Fighting Championships Brawl in the Burgh 24 October 26th is Dylan Harnish. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
It's always great having you on the show. It is going to be, which is very exciting for you, I'm sure it's going to be your professional fighting debut. It's going to be a kickboxing fight. And talk a little bit about why it's kickboxing and not MMA. You're obviously an MMA fighter. I remember you as, I think, a late teenager, early 20-year-old coming up in kickboxing, Muay Thai, in USKA, and some of the other ones. Then you turned to MMA and had a great career in MMA, doing some amateur kickboxing along the way as well. So talk to us about how this fight and really your pro debut came to be.
Yeah, so I've been having some bad luck getting fights here. We had an opponent pull out, and then the fight reschedulation. Now I'm coming out to Pittsburgh for this fight with Chaka. That got rescheduled. I was supposed to make my pro MMA debut in June. Had two guys sign a contract and pull out. So I've kind of just been waiting, staying ready all the way since June. So I'm excited to finally get out there and put on a show.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm sure that's quite a long ways to be ready to make your pro MMA debut. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has a fight commissioner, and understandably, in a way, I guess, it was decided way above promotions. I think a lot of times people sometimes think promoters have more power than they do, but it's super. It's an exciting matchup. Chaka's known for striking. You're known as striking. Both you guys have an MMA background, but Chaka has 12 MMA pro fights. Sounds like you would have taken him in pro MMA, but it was decided because of the commission, it's your debut, that's just too many. And so it's going to be kickboxing. For you, even though I know you wanted to debut in MMA, what's mentally, I know you're coming off some kickboxing wins in your amateur career. So mentally, do you kind of like now the fact that it is kickboxing to be your first pro fight now, so that you don't have the MMA, or would you have preferred it, or are you just dialed in now for the kickboxing side?
You cut out halfway through the beginning of that question. Could you repeat that quick?
Just make it up. Guess what I was asking, just kidding. Sorry about that. Yeah. We're going to get through this interview regardless, but I appreciate it, sir. I was just asking whether or not you, now that it's kickboxing, whether or not you mentally prefer it so you can be more dialed in, because obviously you were going to go pro MMA. Do you now kind of see it as kind of a nice way to transition to pro before your actual pro MMA fight, whenever that happens?
I think the training camp's definitely easier. It's not as hard on the body with the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. So the wear and tear isn't as large as it is in an MMA camp. And yeah, I was getting ready for MMA in June, had an MMA fight scheduled for the 1st of September. So from September on, it's been strictly kickboxing for me. So I'm feeling good. It's much easier on the body, and I like it. I like to just stand there and strike. It causes for a fun night.
Well, we're going to see what that looks like. 247 has already had you in the cage several years ago when you were an amateur MMA fighter, and I think you were 2-0 at the time. So early in your career, you've now had over about 10 MMA fights in amateur, plus other types of fighting like Muay Thai and kickboxing. What do you know of Chaka Worthy, and why jump in to your pro debut against somebody who's obviously been around the block and has quite the experience level?
Yeah, he's been around the block. I think I seen him fight when I was like 17 or 18 at a regional MMA show. So I never really thought I was going to get the chance to fight him. Obviously, everybody knows who his brother is. But same goes for Chaka. He's been around forever. Ton of experience. But I have a bunch of experience too. This is going to be my 20th fight between MMA, kickboxing, and boxing. So it doesn't really matter when we're in there. You know what I mean? He has the longer rounds, and most of his fights are MMA anyway. So if it was MMA, it would be quite a bit different to adjust to. But he only has two strictly stand-up professional fights. So
Well, that's a great way to look at it. I think it's both of you guys have a wonderful crowd pleasing style. So mindset wise, sounds like you're dialed in. Mindset wise, this is already fight week. It's about 6.5 days away from when you'll be fighting. So mentally, what are you looking out of yourself? Do you want to make a prediction? Do you want to kind of share kind of mindset wise what do you want to accomplish in the cage when you make the trip from where you live to Pittsburgh? You've done it before to fight for 247, so you know the drive.
yeah, it works out. My fiance bought tickets for the Steelers and Giants game Monday night. So Ryan's just his paycheck's gonna buy me a couple of beers. I was gonna be out there anyway. I might as well step in the cage and scrap. Yeah, he's super tough. He's really good. He's well rounded. Very good boxer. He looks like he hits hard. It seems like when he hits people, um, they're usually not standing. So my striking's pretty clean, and if you could catch me, I won't have a fun time, but I keep it clean and fight my fight. I think I'll have a good night.
Well, I mean, that is super exciting. As a Steelers fan, I do have to ask you, were you making the trip to be a Steelers supporter or are you rooting for the Giants?
Nah, Steelers fan. She's an
Yeah,
Eagles fan,
baby.
but yeah, we've been to a couple Steelers games. I had to drag her to two or three of them in the last couple of years. So
Well, I figured that there are some Giant fans out there, but I figured nobody would be traveling over to Pittsburgh to actually root on the Giants. But you never know. There are diehard fans out there. Well, what a great timing. I know you and Chaka, obviously, it's the fight game, but to have an entire card canceled, for what you guys were going to fight, obviously that's strange, but I'm glad they were able to reschedule it for 247. And if you and your girlfriend were already making the trip out, it's kind of now you just have two reasons to be out here. It'll also be nice. I know you're very kindly jumping on this after just doing a long drive to corner somebody. It'll be nice to not have to rush away, and be able to stay for the Steelers game. Talk a little about your role at Mid World Martial Arts, both as a fighter but also as a coach and a corner, because you literally minutes ago were on the road back from that fight, and I appreciate you making time. But how does it work for you being a coach on a corner?
I think I'm definitely the most experienced guy there, like active fighter wise. We're in a college town, so we get a ton of kids come in, say they want to do it. Some of them stick, some of them don't. But the kid we cornered tonight, he lost a tough decision, and he's good at the things that you can't teach. He's one of the toughest, hardest working individuals, and the decision tonight just didn't go his way. So people like that want to come in and learn and ask questions, and they already don't know everything. They're the ones that you want to go out and help and share my experience with. I've taken my losses as an amateur too, but at the end of the day, that doesn't matter now because everything restarts on October 26th. So he's down on himself, and you know what I mean. There's fighters are up and down, but I experienced everything throughout 20 fights in 3 different combat sports. So it's good for me and my head coach Eric Strasser to kind of share our knowledge and our experience throughout the whole game.
Yeah, that's exactly right, like you said. And I think all gyms go through the people, and hats off to anybody willing to try it. Sometimes it's not for everybody, but turnover can be challenging. Glad you got a good crew between you and the head coach, and then also the new guy and some of the other people that are trying it out. It's always nice to see. Some gyms kind of end up specializing in certain styles. Some gyms end up specializing in certain weights, or all types of different things. So it'll be super, super exciting to see you. And that's in Bloomsburg. Is that the University of Bloomsburg? That's the college town. I obviously don't know it as much as I should be. What's the college when you say it's a college town?
Yeah, Bloomsburg University.
Bloomsburg. All right. So my brain's firing. It's
Yeah, yeah.
always great to be right. So for you, making this debut, you've already shared kind of your mindset. Who are your supporters, whether it's sponsors or people you want to thank? You've already mentioned your girlfriend, but like as far as making your pro fighting debut, this has got to be something you've thought about since your late teens. And so what does it mean to you to be making it, and kind of what's your gratitude list coming into this?
Yeah, I'm super grateful for everybody. She's my fiance now. We just got engaged in August. So after this,
Woo!
we got a wedding to plan and stuff like that. So I hope to get through this fight healthy and have a couple more fights here by the end of the year. I like to stay active and my whole team, everybody. The downside of it is one of my main training partners, Oscar Garcia, he left and he's now training at the MMA lab out in Arizona. And my fiance flew him in for my September 1st fight that fell through. Bought his plane tickets to come in and corner me for my first fight, and unfortunately it fell through, so he won't be here for this one. But I got my head coach Eric Strasser and Zach Vanderslice and all of my teammates, my sponsors, my family. I'm not going to go out there and sell the place out. You know what I mean? That's Chaka's town. That's Kama's town. They're going to have the crowd, but I'll have a lot of people watching back home on pay per view and stuff like that.
Well, that's a great thing that you'll have. Yeah, you know that you're coming in to them being the, obviously the worthy name being the seller, but really it's about making it the best for you. I think I say that for any out of town fighter that comes in. I know you've been both the hometown fighter and the travel fighter. It's about focusing on who's there for you and what you're there to do inside the cage. So it's definitely a bummer about the September 1st fight. To say that the fight game, and you know this, to say that the fight game is unpredictable is definitely an understatement. So sorry that happened to you, but for us, being a fight fan, being a fan, I've been able to see you kind of develop over the last 5 or 6 years, maybe more. It'll definitely be cool knowing what Chaka brings, knowing what you bring, and this is really only maybe the second or third time 247 has had pro kickboxing. So it's still, I think, a big deal that 247 is doing this. And I think more promoters, and I'm sure what 247 will continue to do is continue to do more of the pro different styles of fights within the cage. So I really appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to see you again. Everybody needs to get, particularly if you're supporting Dylan Harnish from a distance, be downloading the 247 Live app. 247 Fighting Championships actually has its own app on all the app stores. Download it. If you have any type of smart device, TV, that's the way to stream it. And we had to do a public service announcement earlier. Absolutely, there are no links through Facebook for pay-per-view. Those are all scams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know that. If you want to follow, some people don't. If you want to follow 247 Fighting Championships, search 247 Fighting Championships in Facebook. It'll pop up. It'll say it has like 9,900 followers. That's what you want to do. So many scammers out there. There'll be something like 247. They even use the logo, but they'll be asking you to be their friend. And I've been asked as well. No such thing. No business page can ask you to be their friend. Any fight promotion, any business page, it's called liking or following, not being their friend. So make sure you don't fall to any scams. Get the 247 Live app. That's what's really nice. You just download it. Then there's no scammers on that. That is just the 247 promotion. Just make sure you're picking Dylan Harnish's name so he gets credit, because I know you'll mainly be kind of the pay-per-view side of things. So for the pay-per-view people out there, that still helps Dylan, still gives him support, and it'll obviously mean a lot. So I really appreciate you coming on. I know you just got off the road. Thanks so much for making it a great night for me, and I can't wait.
Yeah, quick thing. Quick thing with the pay-per-view too. Ryan just kind of threw this together, right? I'm not sure the financial side of things and stuff like that, but he didn't have to make this fight. He's putting it on for the fans. So help him out. Give him some of that pay-per-view money as well. I'm already getting my paycheck to show up. Help him out. He had to throw this fight together on short notice, and Maverick gave me their blessing to go over and fight the same fight that they originally had booked. So help Ryan out. He didn't have to do this. He just reached out to me and said we could remake it for this date. So Chaka was super professional about it. We were talking on Instagram. He was no questions asked, right for it. Date, time, location, set it in stone. So go follow the real 247 and let's get Ryan some money from whatever he's going to lose out on making this fight.
That's very kind of you. That's very professional of you. I think some fighters, everybody's different. Some fighters don't really care about the business side. I think that shows a lot of respect. Ryan Middleton, who you're referring to, is the owner of 247 Fighting Championships. They have an awesome promotion. They run a podcast that kind of gets into some of the business behind the scenes. And Ryan has shared, he's an incredible guy. He's shared on the podcast at times that people don't always realize that sometimes a promoter, including himself, of course, will put on, in his case, will put on fights, maybe this fight, maybe other fights, where they're actually losing money, but it's a fight that they either want to help the fighters out. It's a fight that the fighters need, or it's a fight that the crowd wants to see, and people don't always understand that. So really professional of you to shout out Ryan Middleton and Hunter Homestack from 247. Incredible guys, really doing a lot for regional MMA, as are other promotions as well. But yeah, I think sometimes fans forget, and fighters might forget, that the promoters also have to be successful for this to keep going. But you're a super great guy. I appreciate you coming on the show. Can't wait to see it. We're 6 days away now, October 26th. It's the first time 247 is going to be at the Greater Pittsburgh Sports Complex in Coriopolis. It's always cool to get to new venues. It's always a cool new feel. So pack it out if you can get local. If not, get the 247 Live app and support Dylan Harnish. Thanks so much for coming on the show. My name is Luke Baseman, the Fancast, and my special guest tonight has been one half of the pro kickboxing fight between Dylan Harnish and Chaka Worthy for 247 Fighting Championships. Can't wait to see you make your pro debut. See you then.